and have this thing go on. I just need to push one more button and then I'm ready to go, which is convenient because the trash can's going by now. So as it does, as it is wont to do. Okay. All right, that should do it. Let me get back to our normal screen. Where the hell's that? There it is. Okay, we're ready to go. Hello, everybody. Hi, Nieves. Hi, Kate. Hi, Megan. We are. Hi, Anne-Marie. We are live also across other platforms, but you guys aren't. You guys are just in your own Zoom. But yeah, so here we are. So this is the Oakbridge Q and A, and we're going to be answering any questions that you have about your mediumship development, Oakbridge Institute, anything really at all that you have questions about. We are here, and me and my cats who are somewhere, are here to answer your questions. So I usually give preference to the people that are live in this room. So I always let you guys ask what you want to ask first, and then we'll go from there. So Kate, Megan, or Nieves, do any of you have a question to start us off? Hey, Millie.
I do.
Hi.
Hi. So I live in an apartment and I'm having a hard time, I guess, protecting my apartment with like the wandering spirits and all the stuff that comes with that. So like I have like the selenite and the tourmaline, but I don't feel like it's working as much as it should.
Okay. So talk to me about what you've been experiencing that that has you feeling like there's spirits coming into your house.
So I'm a baby medium, but I live in Houston, and Houston's like a big portal in it's like itself. And I just see like a lot of wandering spirits coming in. And I know that they're not my team, I guess. And there's also other people's energies around, obviously, because it's an apartment. And so I don't feel like it's being locked down. And like my son, he will see things, and I know it's not my people, and they just want to talk. And I'm still trying to figure out like my boundaries, and because I obviously I'm a light bulb at the moment, so I'm absorbing all of that as well. So
yeah, so thanks for sharing that. So that's also helpful to know kind of where you're at with your development. So a couple of things. Number one, you don't have to be aware of spirit if you don't want to be. And the way that you do that is you just ignore it. And so the two things need to be in place for you to feel like you're not going to just have random things happening to you. Number one, we have to have the belief and knowing that, and I say knowing very on purpose because it has to be a knowing that spirit cannot interact with me if I don't want it to. So what happens to a lot of people at the very beginning of their development is that they're like really excited, they're interested, this is a whole new world, they want to, be open to spirit and have greater connection, et cetera, et cetera. What unfortunately they don't know, because nobody ever tells them, is that every single time that you check in to see if someone's there or not, you are reopening the door. So every single time that you're thinking to yourself, am I feeling anything? Or even if you suspect that someone is noticing, even if you're like your son or someone is noticing something, you're reopening the door to be like, okay, I'm on. So you keep turning your light on. So you're only a light bulb because you keep turning the light on. What you have to do is you have to decide, I am completely closed and I'm not aware. I'm not working at all. And so that very clear boundary, not just with spirit, but actually with ourselves, will be the thing that will stop that entirely. Secondly, even though I'm aware of something, it doesn't mean that that person or that spirit or whatever needs to be done with them. So you can notice it, accept it, and ignore it. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to try to bother anyone. It's not going to try to interact with anyone. And the less that you give attention to those presences, if they are presences, they're just not going to engage you, basically. So essentially, you have all the power. You don't need a crystal. You don't need to do a ritual. You don't need to do anything. You literally just need to decide and set a clear boundary. Because all that things like crystals and things like sprays and clearings and all that stuff does, it's just an external thing that you're doing to strengthen your resolve of the intent you're creating. So any ritual is literally just us strengthening our resolve by doing an activity that helps us be certain that this thing is happening. But all of that's being undone every time you check in to see if someone's there. So what you do is you also need to just decide that you don't have to experience that. Like, this is your space and you're not going to experience that. So the long story short, I'm open to any other feedback that you have. The long story short is basically we are the ones that keep us, the door open, not the spirit just showing up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like there's been times where I'll be doing the dishes and like I'll smell them, I'll see them. I physically see spirits. Mm-hmm. And like, should I be talking to my team a lot more and just saying, hey, because like they'll try to mess with me, light bulbs, things will like the water, like they'll just be stuff like that. And so like, I guess, should I be talking to my team more to tell them to like my bubble, I guess. I don't know if I'm making sense when I say that, but
you are making sense. So no, I mean, it's just a matter of you just gave a really good example of what often happens to people. When you're in a relaxed, passive state, naturally, our awareness starts to open. So what you have to learn to do is when you notice that that's happening, you bring yourself back to the dishes you're doing rather than zoning out, rather than going into that altered state. You just bring yourself back to the here and now. Again, even if they are messing with lights, which they may or may not be doing, even if they are doing things with the water and that sort of thing, all you have to do is ignore it. Literally, you just have to decide this is nothing. And the more that you do that, the less energy that it's going to, interact with you. If you're seeing things objectively, then that means you need to be more closed. So right now you're going through your life super open. And so you need to actually close yourself down. And that's part of the, I'm not on right now. I'm closed. I'm not working right now. This is not the moment. So then what you can do though, is you can have time periods when you designate for being sort of having the light on. So if you have a meditative practice or sitting in the power or something like that, those are opportunities for you to be like, okay, spirit, anything you want to give me right now, this is that moment. Otherwise, closed. And so having those really clear boundaries will resolve all of this. This isn't something that ever really plagues like developed mediums at all. And so it's a very simple switch. You just have to believe that and know that, and then just ignore it when it happens. Make sense? Because energy flows where attention goes. So the more that you put your attention on these things, the more that it's going to become obvious, if that makes sense.
Yep, that makes complete sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully that's helpful.
We
will definitely, we'll kind of cycle through the questions and then, have your next one ready to go if you'd like. But I want to jump over to Kate. Did you have a question?
Gonna unmute. No immediate questions. I'm like just dipping my toe into like kind of more of my intuitive abilities. So I'm like just came across Oakbridge and joined the Q and A to learn more about you and this community. And so no immediate questions are coming to mind, but I'll definitely let you know if they do.
Amazing. So well, welcome, number one. Nice to have you in the group and in the room. I'm both going to be answering questions that are both on these other social media platforms, but also whoever's live in the room. So I just kind of give priority to the people that are live here. Just a little bit about Oakbridge. We do teach mental mediumship, psychic awareness, and healing right now. We will be expanding into both spirit art, as well as trance mediumship, as well. So those are things that are coming. Also astrology. These are all things that are kind of in the pipeline for doing. But right now we have a fully developed mental mediumship track, which is essentially about 3 years is how long it takes to get through it. And then our psychism is right now we have a psychism 1, which is a 20-week, I believe it is 20-week course. And then there's a psychism 2 that's going to be starting as well. So all of these are just some of the things, just so you know. We also teach healing, energy healing. It's not any specific modality. It's a if you're familiar with Charlie Goldsmith, or you've ever heard of Charlie Goldsmith, he had a TV show called The Healer, and that's sort of the modality, if there is one, that we kind of use, which is really effective and awesome. So if you are interested in developing your mediumship, there's a couple ways that you can do that. You can start with our Foundations 1 series. That would be where I would put you first if you're just sort of dipping your toes in and you want to develop your mental mediumship. I personally think one should develop their mediumship before their psychism, just because I think it's easier to develop your mediumship over your psychism, and that transition from moving from mediumship to psychic is super easy, versus it's sometimes other skills have to be learned to go from psychic to medium. So just throwing that out there. And then another option is you can always get my book, Spirit Speaks, which is a step-by-step guide to developing mediumship as well. So you can get that on Amazon or llewellyn.com, wherever you want to get it from, if you don't feel like supporting Jeff Bezos. And then let me see if there's anything else that's helpful. I think that's probably the main thing I would say.
So cute. Thank you. That's super helpful.
Awesome. Nieves.
Hi, Michael. I actually have a question about the class, the home circles that we do when the person sits on the power and you are identifying what the person is feeling. Okay, if we are in a group, how do I know that I am feeling what the person is feeling, or that another student have recognized that the person is feeling? I don't. Am I confusing you by asking? I don't know if I'm asking it correctly. Okay.
Yeah, you are.
So, am I getting it from the sitter, or I'm getting it from the student?
Like another person in the circle.
Yes, because sometimes the timing at 3:05, I felt that, I don't know, whatever, that there was a person, a spirit next to her, on her right side, and then at 3:15, I'm feeling, I wrote that a few seconds later.
Yeah, so it's partly intention. So as I just mentioned with, I think it was Megan, attention, energy flows where attention goes. So when I intend to connect and follow what's going on with that specific person that's sitting, I'm sort of tuned into that. I'm tuned into that energy, that space. And so it's not going to just naturally just pick up on other people in the circle. It's the intention. And the spirit understands what's going on when we're doing home circle. So they are the little lightning rod through everything that is happening, right? They're the centerpiece. And then we're just kind of all sitting there experiencing whatever that medium is experiencing. So we're tuned in because we're giving our energy to that specific medium, which sort of creates a link between ourselves and that medium. And so what that does is that that's kind of how we're sensing what's going on. So it's just sort of like intention is the point. So when you sit, you want to have the intention, I'm connecting to this person, I'm supporting this person with my energy. And whatever changes as that happens is going to, in the power, whatever changes in the power is going to basically ensure that you are paying attention to what's happening with the medium rather than the other sitters. It's also part of the reason why when you're sitting, I spotlight that specific medium so that you're not picking up from other people. You're looking at the person that you're hoping to connect with. If that makes sense. Awesome. Good question. Let me just jump over here to this live thingy and see what questions people have. Hello, Melly. Tips on strengthening the connection with spirit in the moment. Do less. So one of the most important things that you can do within your mediumship is to not try, not control, not direct or force. As soon as you start to do that, you're going to start getting into your head. You're going to start focusing your energy somewhere else other than the spirit. So surrender is the key to strong links with the spirit world. The less you do, the more you will experience. The more you do, the more you're going to experience yourself and your thoughts. So it's really important for you to pay attention to what am I feeling? That's really what it is. So also not going off of your pictures and the images in your mind, going off of your feeling as a foundation to your mediumship is key. So the more that you focus in on clairsentience sort of as like that foundation, and then let pictures and sounds sort of happen, in addition to, you will have a lot clearer, consistent sense of connection to who you're communicating with spiritually. So what happens is it's too easy for our brain to make up pictures in our mind. And so if you just go off the images that are happening in your brain, or that are happening sort of in your mind's eye, sometimes it's going to be clairvoyance, but most times it's going to be your mind unless you're already connected. How do we tell we're connected? You can feel it. You can feel the power. You feel the thickness in the atmosphere, the tingling, the buzzing, the pressure, all of those things. So it's a really clear indicator that you're connected and attuned. Once you're attuned, then you can start to kind of trust all your other experiences. But we always keep that constant ticker tape of the sense of feeling underlying everything that we experience, because feeling provides context as well to our information. Thanks, Travis. So when you meet lower vibe energies, do you just ignore it? So I don't ever meet lower vibe energies, actually. I personally don't believe that strongly in lower vibe energies. Maybe there's a difference in someone's awareness, right? Maybe education, maybe spiritual development, but I don't really classify that as lower vibe per se. I just classify that as someone with less awareness, and that's it. There is some sort of developmental hierarchy that I think happens to the soul over time, but I never think of anyone as low vibe, high vibe, that sort of thing. It's just what information do they have access to? What awareness do they have? And that's really what it is. So I never experienced anything negative, scary, bad from the spirit world in 20 years in February next month. 20 years of working with the spirit world, I've never, not a single time, ever experienced a single thing that was scary, negative, bad. I have had startling experiences where I was not expecting something to happen and then it did. That has happened, but it was never a fear that I felt. It was more like, oh shit, I did not expect that thing to move on its own, right? Like that is a startle, not a fearful response. It's just like, whoa, that's surprising, right? So there is nothing you have to fear from the spirit world. The spirit world literally is just love. Yes, trance is coming. Mona says 10 out of 10, highly recommend Oakbridge. Thank you. What is spirit art? Spirit art is the ability to draw the likeness of loved ones in spirit. So not only are you giving a mental mediumship reading like a normal reading, you're simultaneously sketching out what that person looked like. And so, or someone connected to that person. So two things are happening at once. You're both sketching the loved one, and so then the person not only gets to go home with, a recording of the message, but also they get to go home with a picture of their loved one or someone connected to them that the person drew. So you don't have to be an artist to develop spirit art. It's something that you get taught the basics of drawing a likeness and all of that sort of thing. But spirit art is something that you can do even if you're not a drawer per se. You will learn the skill of drawing, but it's more about being inspired with spirit art. So it's a pretty amazing evidential form of mediumship. If you are interested in experiencing spirit art, we have Christine Parkin who does our spirit art, and she offers spirit art readings as well. So she gives you a mental mediumship reading while she draws your loved one in spirit as well. And you can get that at oakbridgeinstitute.org. Under the book of readings, there'll be a professional reader tab, and you can find that there. Melly says Oakbridge is essential for proper development. Highly recommend. No experience needed. Thank you, Melly. Can you still join for foundations? I know they started last week. Yes, Bailey, you can still join for foundations if you'd like to. So there's still availability because the first like 3 classes you don't necessarily have to be live for because they're meditation. Obviously, we want you live there for, but you can still join Foundations 1 if you want to, which you can register for at oakbridgeinstitute.org. Let me see if there's any others that I'm missing. Are you going to do another home circle? Yes, I will do another home circle. I ordered your book today. Can't wait to read it. Yay. I can't wait for you to read it. It's going to be great. Just check this other little page quickly. Here we go. Right here. Is telepathy a common ability? Hearing my friend and husband call her a fool? Yes, absolutely. It is something that I think is just natural to people, especially when you're really close to them. Is it okay when I'm sitting in the power that my feet aren't flat on the ground? Yeah, that's fine. If I'm sitting with my legs crossed on my bed, is that okay? That's totally fine. You just need to sit in a position you don't have to move around a lot for. Also, do students have opportunity to be read by you and Megan and Elisa, or is there a discount for Oakbridge students? We don't really offer discounts for that. We don't really, I guess the best way to say that is like we don't encourage our kids. We don't have any sort of encouragement for our students to read from us. They're already spending plenty of money like on their development and their courses. So it's not a important thing. However, do know that we have developing mediums in the Art Advancing group who have very affordable readings. I think they're like $20 that you can get a reading from. Obviously, they're students and they're developing, and it's a learning environment. But they can often give really, really great readings, especially in the latter part of the year when they've had more time to work with that. Do you have a cheaper version of figuring out your mediumship abilities? My book is probably the cheapest way to do that. It's, I think, $20, maybe less than that. I think I saw a half hour for 222, but I was wondering if you have anything for less. You can come to this Q and A and we can talk about it, but everybody can develop mediumship. It's just a matter of doing so. Your book is amazing, and since I can't afford anything at the moment, a great guide. Perfect. So you already have the book. Okay, great. But yeah, I mean, you can always ask questions here. This is totally free, so you're welcome to kind of ask anything that you want to try to get an idea of your ability. Obviously, it's not a spiritual assessment, which I think is what you're referring to, but yes, you can do that. I was going to ask if the advancing students readings were going to start again. It's been super helpful for me the last few months. Amazing. So yes, they are going to be starting. The next opening will be for the 3rd week. Not this Saturday, not the next Saturday, but in 3 Saturdays, they'll be open up. So you should be able to actually look online and see the advancing thing. Okay. So let's jump back to, I have one more, sorry. A dear friend of Paul is on life support and apparently brain dead. He may have paid an energy visit to another friend within 24 hours. Can you give us any support on how to help? He's on life support and apparently brain dead. He may have paid an energy visit. I don't know exactly what you mean, what kind of help you're looking for. It is very possible that he is on life support and he can communicate with other people. When our brain is sort of not functioning anymore, our brain acts as a condenser of consciousness. So when it starts to kind of go offline, our awareness can expand and move beyond our brain and be able to interact with people in the physical who are sensitive. So it's very likely that he did do something. I don't know what help, though, you're looking for. So you'll have to clarify that. Let's see. Yes, Bailey. Let me check in with my people live, and then I can bring you up on this live, and then you can ask your question live. But let me go back to my other screen. I don't know why it's looking so weird. But anyway, back to Kate, Megan, Nieves. Any questions? Yeah.
When you mentioned trans mediumship, I guess what does that entail as opposed to like an evidential medium?
Yeah. So mental mediumship is sort of the umbrella term for any form of mediumship that passes through the mind of the medium. So we have mental mediumship, and then we can kind of differentiate them so it's easier to understand. Evidential mediumship versus trance mediumship. Evidential mediumship we also refer to as mental mediumship. It's the thing that you see like Teresa Caputo doing and Tyler Henry and what I do and all that sort of thing. That's mental mediumship or evidential mediumship as we call it. So that's one thing. And then over here you have trance mediumship. Trance mediumship is on the same spectrum of mental mediumship. However, it's less of the awareness of the medium involved. So what happens is the medium's mind in mental mediumship is both active and passive at the same time. So you have to become passive so you can receive information, but then you're active because you're giving the information, you're sharing it. So there's an active passive process that's there. What happens is as that medium lets go more and more and more and more control, you can almost think of it like a dimmer switch. The more we turn down the consciousness of the medium and the more that the spirit presence has sort of control, if you will, there's more of the mind of the spirit and less of the medium. This is what we call entrancement or trance. It's where the spirit has more kind of say or control given freely by the medium, and they're able to speak through the medium, whether that's a guide giving information, whether that's through things like automatic writing, whether that is what we call trance communication, which is the spirit speaking directly to their loved one, which can be pretty incredible when it's developed because they can speak in other languages that the medium doesn't know. But we also have things called trance clairvoyance, which is where the guide of the medium is actually the one bringing through the information. So there's all these different ways in which we can utilize trance. So trance is just a deeper form of mental mediumship where there's less awareness of the medium involved. Does that make sense?
So is the trans mediumship, is all mediums trans mediums, or is that like a specialty? I guess I don't know if that's the word for it, but
yeah, I believe that people have potential for mediumship in any form. There's just people who are going to be more quickly well suited towards it, in the sense like, someone who's super tall will probably have a benefit in playing basketball. There's going to be some people who really can trust and let go and surrender easily, and they might have an easier time developing trance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. Thank you.
Welcome. Other questions? Kate, do I see you looking to unmute or?
One question I do have is, can you share the link a little bit more between astrology and mediumship and psychic abilities?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't know that there's, do you mean like people's charts and how that can show up? Or do you mean like the application of doing mediumship, psychic, and also astrology?
You mentioned that you're going to be offering courses on astrology. And so I was wondering if there's like kind of what the relationship is, if there's connectivity at all, or if it's completely a different sort of skill set development area.
It definitely is a different skill set for sure. So you can do an astrology and never have an intuitive moment in your life, because astrology is really about kind of math. I say that lightly, but math, symbology, these things kind of coming together, and knowing how to read it. So you can have zero intuitive ability and read an astrology chart and be very good and very accurate.
Got it.
However, it can be helpful to a psychic to look at a chart, not to read, but just more to get impressions from. But a psychic can use all kinds of things for that. Like you can use literally anything to get psychic information. I mean, some people read butts. I know that sounds crazy to say, but like that's a real thing. You know, like some people read tea leaves. Some people read, you know, other things. Some people read butts.
That's so funny.
So, you know, there's all kinds of different ways to read psychically. So in that way, they can be connected, but otherwise they're very different things.
Got it.
Other questions? Any of us? Anything? No? Okay. How about for you, Megan? Anything else before I check in with these other things?
One question. I guess it's palm reading. Is that like a legit thing? Because I see it a lot here in Houston, all these little pop-up shops, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
palm reading is legitimate if you are trained in it well and you have a good sense of, you know, intuitive connection. Like I mentioned, you can read someone's butt, you can read people's palms, right? And palmistry is something that has been utilized for a long time. That being said, I am not a person who trusts like any random person to give me information because what you will find in the mediumship psychic world is that there's no regulation, and therefore it is a kind of free for all, wild wild west sort of vibe. And especially if you're on things like TikTok, that's like the worst of worst. Is like it's just wild wild west out there. I mean, people just say shit all the time, and it's not real. A lot of things that people say aren't real. And so I'm very hesitant to kind of walk into it. If I were to go and walk up to like maybe one of those pop-up shops or palmistry, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt, what they see and what they say. I really only want to trust people that I have seen work, who have shown themselves to be accurate, specific, that don't do any kind of cold reading, that sort of thing. Asking you a bunch of questions is not great for being a psychic or medium. You really shouldn't have to say much. Maybe at most, yes, no, I don't know, or I need more information. Someone shouldn't be asking you to fill in information. That is an underdeveloped medium if they actually have mediumistic awareness. That is underdeveloped. And that's what we see a lot. We see a rampant amount of, I can do a little bit, so then now I have a podcast and I go get an Instagram and I'm on TikTok and I'm giving readings, but I'm asking a million questions of everybody. That is what you want to not be. You want to be able to develop your awareness so that you are clear, accurate, and specific with as little information or no information from your sitter. Make sense?
Yep, answered it all. Thank you.
Great. Let me have a look at these just to go around. I think, was it Bailey? Bailey, if you want, you can request to come up on the live, and you can ask your question there. If you want, if you're still here. If you can, Michael, can you explain physical mediumship? I'm going to need you to be a little bit more specific, Adam, just because that is a really, really large topic. The short version is that physical mediumship is a form of mediumship where spirit can physically interact with the space. So whereas mental mediumship is everything that passes through the mind of the medium, physical mediumship would be any kind of spirit communication or interaction where there is not, it doesn't have to go through someone, their mind. If something happens in the room, everybody sees it, everybody feels it, everybody hears it. So whether that's, you know, spirit voices, whether that is some kind of phenomena like objects moving, et cetera, that would be objective. Everybody can see it. You don't have to be mediumistic. It's just happening through either the collective energy or the presence of a specific medium. So there you go. Yes, Sarah Michelle, you did get that right. It was a Siamese cat screaming. That's the short version of that. If you want me to answer something more specific, I'm happy to do that. I struggle to sit for 30 minutes. Is 15 good place to start? I would say just keep struggling through it until you can get to 30 minutes. Sit anyway, because the first 15 minutes, your mind is going to be like, and just doing that. So you need to give it time to calm down and wear itself out. So I would say you have to sit at least for 15 minutes rather than say only sit for 15 minutes. So if you aren't using a guided meditation, I have a guided meditation for sitting in the power on my website, which will make it a lot easier for you. Let me see if there's any more here. Bailey, did you request already or no? I need to see if she requested. I don't see it. Okay. No request yet. And then I'm going to jump over to my other little screens. Thanks for your response about confirming that this content is possible while physically still here will help the friend that was visited and accept it more. Great. Who were the experienced students mediums you recommend at Oakbridge Institute? So Oakbridge Institute is the online school name. And then you're looking for the fellowship readings or the advancing students readings. And those ones are the more affordable readings. I'm an intuitive healer reader. I'm sporadically able to give messages from spirit. Should I practice? Yeah, you should develop mental mediumship because it's its own skill set. And even though you might be able to get into that headspace at times, given the passive relaxed state you're probably in when you're doing your other readings and your healings, you want to learn how to do that consistently. Would the Oakbridge courses work? Is it self-paced or are they scheduled lessons? They are scheduled lessons. So they're live and they're taught live. So there's no recordings. I mean, we record the classes so you can revisit them or if you have to miss a class, but we teach you live. And so, yeah. Let's see what else. What else do we got here? Yeah, but I don't think yeah, but how do you get it to happen as a medium? I mean, you have done it before. Yeah, it's a hard thing to put down because for physical mediumship, it needs the right circumstances, the right conditions, and that's sort of what makes it happen. So you need either a developed physical medium that the spirit already has an established ability to work with, or you have to develop that. And that takes a lot of time. It's why we don't see very many physical mediums, is because it takes a shit ton, like years and years and years of dedicated sitting for the spirit. And that's actually how it is developed. So yes, that's Hudson on my lap. Are there payment plans or scholarships? There's both payment plans and partial scholarships. What days and times do you do the courses? It depends on the course. Our foundation's one class is at Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. Physical mediumship seems to be dying out these days. Yes and no. It has its little pockets of where it's still a big thing, but actual having well-developed physical mediums, yes, that is something that is incredibly rare, and you don't see a whole lot of, in my experience. And the people that are out there are generally frauds. So there's that. Let's see. Can you explain what happens in a spiritual assessment? In a spiritual assessment, a teacher or medium or whoever's doing the reading for you is going to attune to the spiritual aura. We'll look at the colors that are present, and that will give us an idea of sort of the spiritual journey that you've been on, where you are presently, and what's potential to be developed if that's something that you are wanting to know. So it's sort of a check-in, if you will, of like what the spirit is doing with you currently and what they could potentially develop for you as well. So that's what a spiritual assessment looks like. Let's go over here. Can you chill? I don't know what you're doing, man. I don't know. Can you just sit here? Thank you. My brother was killed by his own drug addict son. He told that he was karma, but how can that be when my nephew will be in prison? Yeah, if anyone tells you that that was karma, then they are full of shit, and you should ignore everything that they said after they said that sentence. So you should throw that out. Would you consider table tipping physical mediumship, though? Table tipping lives in a weird spot between physical mediumship and kind of not. Genuine table tipping, where you get levitation, where you get other things, it's a starting point is what I would say. So like if you get levitation or if you get clear communication, intelligent communication from the spirit world, that would be physical mediumship adjacent. Levitation would be a physical phenomena, though, so that would count. Oftentimes, table tipping can lead to more physical development. For example, we had spirit lights, which is a very clear physical phenomena, as well as we saw ectoplasm, another physical phenomena sort of related thing. So yes, that. It sort of lives in this like middle ground. Ooh, flame point Siamese. I love that. Okay, let me jump. How many students are in a class? It depends on the class. Sometimes it can be as little as 20 people. It can be as much as 40 people. The current class that we have is right around 30. So if you wanted to join the Foundations one class, you'd be in a class that size, which is, I would say, a medium-sized class. The class started last Saturday. However, you can still register because the first 3 classes you don't necessarily have to be there live for, because the exercises that we do are meditative, so you can catch up on them. So if you are interested in joining the Foundations 1 class, I would highly recommend this is the perfect moment to do it. You'd watch the one that we already did, and then you jump in on the next one. Let's jump over to back to my Zoom folks. Okay, Nieves, Megan, Kate, anything? Not from Nieves. Yeah, Kate. I mean, Megan.
Sorry, I have a lot of questions.
No, that's why
when I channel, or like if I just get like a download and I speak it out loud, I tend to burp a lot. And I don't know if that's my throat chakra, or is that like a confirmation, or I don't know if that's even normal to do.
Yeah, actually, things like yawning, burping, this sort of thing, that is actually a common thing that goes away after a bit of getting more comfortable with it. It's actually more associated with a kind of anxiety. And it could be because, you know, you're having this experience, it's newer, et cetera, that we kind of are going into a little bit more of an anxious state while it's occurring. So it's more often tied to that rather than necessarily the communication. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just thought, because I've been doing it, because I've realized like I was a medium 4 years ago, and I've done it ever since. Like, and I do some readings here and there, but I do it free. I just practice. But and I tend to burp all the time when I'm doing it. So
yeah, so it's probably a subconscious anxious thing. So
okay.
As you get more confident and comfortable, it'll go away.
Okay. Yeah. That was all I had. Thank you.
Amazing. Let's see. Kate, anything? Are you good? Okay, cool. Any evening classes on Saturday or Sunday? Are there only home circle? I don't think there's any evening classes. No, because Foundations 1 is at 10 a.m. Pacific. Expansions is on 1 p.m. Pacific on Saturday. Sunday morning is the development circle at 10 a.m. and then 1 p.m. is advancing. So no, we don't. I was just going through it. I do have home circles that are in the evening, but that's it. Yes, Liv, it is for beginners. Let's jump over here. Let's go there and then jump over here to the other one. I don't know, my screens are all crazy today, but we're just rolling with it. Other questions, thoughts, feelings, opinions from anyone? I don't have any right at this second. Sorry, forgive me. My screens are all wily and crazy for some reason. Other thoughts, other feelings? Are we still looking for people for healing class? Yes. So thanks for asking it, Janelle. If you're interested in energy healing, maybe you have pain, mobility issues, any kind of stuff going on for you, you can join our on Sunday. Sunday at 3:30 Pacific. We have our group of students who are learning how to do energy healing, and they're doing really, really well. We had our first session of folks coming in to get energy healing for free. And they did that this past Saturday, and they did great. They brought the people's pain down to 0, some of them. Some they brought it down significantly. I don't think there was any real minor changes. Most people got a significant change, which is really, really great. So we need people who want to, who have some things going on, chronic pain, back pain, shoulder pain, any kind of pain really, as well as mobility issues. That is something else that we are working with. So if you have any sort of issues, pain, things going on, it can actually really, really be helpful. You can email me at mediummichaelmayo@gmail.com, or wherever you are, you can just DM me. So however you're looking at this, you can always just DM me and say, hey, I've got this issue. Can I come? And I'll send you the link, and then you'll have healing done on you for free. So it's really, really awesome. So just either send me a DM or do that. Why would someone feel heaviness around the throat when doing a blend with the spirit team? It could be all kinds of things. So it could be energetic pressure. It could be blending, that they're actually working in that area to start to open it up. It could mean, if you're connecting with a spirit communicator, it can mean that they are dealing with, they were intubated when they passed, they had something around their neck when they passed, they had trouble breathing. I mean, there's a million reasons why energetically you would feel pressure on the throat, whether that's through a communicator or through your guide or helper. It's just a sensation. It's literally just one of many sensations you'll experience when you're connecting in with the spirit world. How soon after a person passes can you connect with them? There is no time limit, no hard rule about how quickly someone can communicate from spirit. I've had people communicate just after they passed. I've had people not communicate for 3 months until after they pass. There is no hard and fast rule. It's more so, when does the person feel ready, the person living feel ready to go get a reading. So it's more so about the grief and their ability to kind of, manage that grief is really what it is. Because sometimes grief creates a little bit of this thick cloud around them, and it can be really difficult to kind of connect. However, sometimes the grief is actually something that strengthens the communication as well, because it's a strong need. So it literally just depends on, the person, really. Let's see. Any other questions from my in-person folks? No, no, and no? Okay, awesome. And then I'm just gonna check in. Any last questions from everybody else before we wrap up today's session? So again, if you are interested in any sort of healing, we do need sitters for that, as well as if you want to do a reading with our fellowship readers and or our advancing students, we will need that. So thank you, George. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that's it. So Hudson and I are going to go. It is important to note that the healing is free. Sorry. And that is it. So me and my cat I'm gonna go give him lunch. You can find more information, Liv, at oakbridgeinstitute.org, and click under book a reading. And that's where you'll find more information. All right, everybody. Thank you so much to Nieves, Megan, and Kate for being in person. Really appreciate it. And everybody else, thanks for tuning in and asking your questions. Without you, I'd just be sitting here with a cat on my lap. So I appreciate you coming in and joining me. Take care, everybody, and we will see you next week. Bye. And last but not least, see you later.